Okay, so now I'm going to show you kind of what we can do with the iPad app. On the iPad, and I've mounted the camera so I can kind of compare here. So the iPad allows you to mix your wedges, and then so just like on the board, so if I do front wedge, you can see here, and see on the board, kind of over there, if I turn up kick, it's also going to adjust, or kick and snare, you know, turn on random channels. It's basically doing the same thing that we were doing earlier, but it allows the musicians to just control this themselves. And then the back wedge, they can do that. And then you can also mix the board from the actual iPad app, which is really useful if you are kind of like in a, I don't know, a different setting where you don't have a full tech team and you just kind of want to be a part of the crowd for a little bit. You could mix from here. So you have your mute buttons, and see as I'm hitting the mute button, it's muting those. You have your faders. Now, because the faders are not motorized, let me zoom in here. Because the faders are not motorized, if I turn down kick all the way, the fader is not going to go down because it doesn't have a motor in it. Sorry, you can't see that. The fader's not going to go down because it doesn't have a motor in it to do that. Now, as you can see over here, also, the computer program is detecting what's going on the iPad that I'm doing. Now, I'll turn the kick and snare down all the way. So, what does that mean for the board? So if I actually came back to the board, things wouldn't quite be in sync. So, to get around that, you can hit this locate button. Faders locate. Okay. Now, you see here that the kick and snare channels, when I hit locate, the lights are way up. So that means that I'm going to take this off here. The lights are way up, and so that means that the fader location on the board is way higher than what this computer and this iPad thinks it is. So to get them back in sync, you can keep turning the fader down. Keep turning the fader down until you see that the lights up there are starting to go back to the middle. And I still got to do it, and then there, it's in sync. And same with the snare. Keep turning it down, 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 down. Okay, it's in sync now. Now, if the locate button is on, I can, it will just tell me how in sync it is. Once the locate button is off, okay, my kick fader is all the way down. It's all the way down on the computer. I'll turn it up just a little bit to U. Now notice that on the computer it agrees, and on the iPad it agrees. And now they're in sync. Okay, so say that I don't really turn it all the way down over here, I just turn it up a little bit. So it'll say actually on here how much you're adjusting it. See, like minus 2.76 dB, getting louder, to 0, which is the same thing as U. So it should be at U. The computer thinks it's at U, and it is. The board is just not in sync right now. So I can hit locate. Okay, so the lights show down. So that means that this fader is too far down than it actually is coming out of the board. So I will keep adjusting those, keep turning it up, turning it up, turning it up. Okay, now it's in sync. I'll turn off the locate. and then we're back to where we were. So that's one thing you got to keep in mind when you're running sound from here. Things will get out of sync with the board, but that's fine, and it works. But just know that whatever changes you make here are not going to be reflected in these faders unless you locate them first. That's the bottom line. The mute buttons are fine. You can adjust those. You cannot adjust the gain knobs. You cannot adjust the aux knobs on the iPad or the computer. So that's something you'll have to come back here for. You can adjust what subgroups you're assigning. You can adjust the compression, gate, EQ on here. How do I get out of that? I hit the X. Okay. You can adjust the master subgroups. You can adjust your mains. There's my main. You can adjust that by going up the masters there. And you can adjust a lot of stuff on here. Just nothing with a knob on it. You cannot do that. Then you can also adjust the graphic EQ. There's your presets that you can apply. You can go ahead and add those if you want. And then there's also a way to kind of block people out of using this or allow access, but I'm not entirely sure how to do that. And then there you see the names of the things, which you can also type into the computer, which we've done, so all the presets should have their names. And so that's what you can do on the iPad.